I'm Natasha De Bourg, and I come from a small island in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Profession is a chef. I'm also an executive chef of a newly opened Caribbean restaurant in Annapolis in America. I'm also the culinary president of Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm the executive producer of a production company as well in Trinidad and Tobago. As any chef would say, they start cooking with their grandmother. But that's my story for real, because I grew up with my grandmom. I think food was passed in my entire family, both on my mom's side and my dad's side. And growing up as a child, I always knew that I wanted to become a chef. I never thought in my wildest dream I would be even sitting in a place like this to tell my story of who I am, a colored woman from the Caribbean. I started off not having an education, and at 23 years I went back to university. After going to university in Switzerland, I acquired a double bachelor degree, one in international business and one in culinary arts. And since then, from a success story from actually being nothing and growing up really poor in the countryside, here I am. I travel like over 70 countries. I have worked in the maritime industry, cooking on yachts for celebrities, dignitaries, kings, queens, anybody you think about, I may have cooked for. But for me, it's just a story of humility, to show that it doesn't matter where you come from or the story of your life. The truth is untold, that where success could really take you. And I think it's really a state of mind of how bad you want it and how hard you would try to see where you would go to achieve that success. I think this is a question that's asked a lot, like, you know, a woman working in a male-dominated industry. I'm not threatened at all, because I think, you know, if it is, we look at naturally the way we were created, women were born chefs. They call us cooks. I think it's always this question of sexism, male against woman, woman against man. I just think if it is you operate in your profession and the places that you were called, that's all that matters. So a man's ego don't really bother me. Whatever space I walk into, I know who I am, and I know what it is I can give, and I know even in that room where I'm needed and even where I'm not. And for you as a human, I think you need to have the emotional intelligence to understand that and realize that everything is not just personal. But just me as a woman, I love being a woman. I love being feminine. I love walking into rooms and dominating rooms where, as a question you asked, where men think that I just might be this little small girl, you know, all the question is always asked, are you a chef? And yes, I am. And trust me, I can do your job maybe 10 times better than you could. I think some of the difficulties I faced throughout my career would go back to your question that you just asked. One is being a woman. But I think over the years, what I have learned is emotional intelligence, and I think that's my tool of power, that I know when and where to assess or people could access my emotions, because I think in the world that we live in, it's you just don't give emotions easily. And in any room that you walk in, be it work, it could be personal, it could be romantic, it could be friendships. Once you give that person that emotional space to have access over you, they will have access over you. So for me, some of the challenges that I face is that people just don't know what it is they would expect from me. But I always walk into a room, I analyze, and I would even analyze the people that I'm working with to know their emotional intelligence, how to reuse reverse psychology. But just, I think it's a prominent thing, just being a woman. Again, unfortunately, it's being colored, but it's one of my greatest tools, because I love who I am and I love what I represent, and I love that I represent not just women, but I represent little girls, with big dreams, because I think that's a success story, because my story is a success story, and I'm one person in just believing in you, I think, yeah. Some of my greatest achievements, I think this year, I was speaking to my dad last night. You know, again, just knowing where I come from, if it is, you know, Trinidad, I grew up really, really poor. I didn't grow up with my parents, and you know, as a child, you just have these big dreams. I want to become, you know, a singer. I want to become successful. But I think my greatest success story is always being invited to spaces where it is I can speak my truth, or fight for advocacy, fight for the thing that I love, gastronomy, fight for being a woman, fight for the rights of people with small dreams and big dreams. My success story is just, I guess, just being me, and I think I'm just really grateful, either small or big. And just being a chef, I always tell people around me, I would cook for a beggar the same way I'll cook for a king, because it's a matter of respect, and it's just an honor to do something like that, and just being grateful for the small things, that in the big things it's not glamorous, but you have the equilibrium of truth to like find balance in both good and bad. So, yeah. I wish there were 10 of me. There is so much upcoming projects. Yeah, there's a lot. I am in production for about 5 films I'm doing. I'm in post-production for 2. As I mentioned earlier, I'm opening a fine dining upscale Caribbean restaurant in Annapolis to bring food of both Africa and the Caribbean, to tell a story to the people of America. I'm the culinary president of Trinidad, so I'm working on like Trinidad's one of the biggest culinary festivals it have. So like the list is just ongoing, and I think I like it that way because it keeps me in a place of productivity, but also in a place of humility, that I just don't have spaces where it is my mind is just running free to just of emptiness, I guess. So when it is I think about the Caribbean and I think about Africa, I think it's a story that's untold. I think in life there is 2 things when you're telling a story, is either fact or fiction. And I think throughout history, a story that was told to us and a story that was told to the world was history on friction. It was untold truth, and I think that each person have a story to tell of their own. Each country have a story to tell of their own. Each tribe have a story to tell of its own. But I think because of our influences and the first world that we live in, they told a story for us, but it was a story of untruth. So for me, that's friction. And what it is I want to do is that later this year, Chef Stone and I would be working together to start. I'll be going to Nigeria, he'll be coming to the Caribbean, and what it is we're going to do is build a show which is called AFREXIMBANK, but it's tracing our DNA roots through food, and that's what it is I want to do. It's no longer a story of a victim, but it's a story of victory, and I think not just America or not just the Caribbean or not just Africa needs to know that story, but I think the world needs to know the story of truth that was told to them that was friction. So for me, that's what it is I want to tell a story through food, that people can understand travel, culture, food, people, of who we really are and what was done to us. And again, I want to reiterate that it's not a story about victim or about pain, but it's a story of victory, because out of everything that happened was something beautiful that the world is yet to discover.